my vision board for 2026. These are how the nails turned out. Hi, my name is Alyssa and welcome back to my channel, and happy new year. I hope your guys' 2026 has been off to a great start. For today's video, we're going to be doing our 2026 new year winter reset. I was looking back on how 2025 went for me and I hated it. I hated all of it, and I feel like on social media a lot of people feel the same way. 2025 for some reason was just an awful year for a lot of people. So this year I am determined to make things different. I mentioned before that I'm not really the type of person to make like specific new year's goals and all that stuff, but because of how much I hate how 2025 went for me, I'm going to do anything I can to make sure that 2026 is just better. So this video is going to be us doing just that. It's going to be similar to a lot of my past reset videos. I did some self-care, look good, feel good kind of vibes. I did my own nails. I actually dyed my hair in this video, but I lost the footage. But you guys can see that my hair is no longer like fully blonde. You can still kind of see like the ombre, but it's not blonde anymore. I'm more or less back to my natural color, and I feel like that was just the perfect start of a reset that I need. We're going to do our vision boards, but this year I'm going to do it a little different and be super specific and action oriented with the things that I want to achieve this year, and also just take one last look at 2025 before we leave it all behind. But before all that, first order of business is a clean space. Your room is a reflection of your mind, as they say. Without further ado, let's get started on our new year reset. It looks horrendous in here right now. I got sick the past 2 weeks and you can really tell, but I'm not even gonna act like it wasn't already bad before I got sick. It just definitely like it got worse, but it was already pretty bad. So we need to clean my room, get rid of all the remnants of my sickness, and we're also gonna change my bed sheets because it also has my germs and sick vibes from there. I feel like if I want to change like the way I'm feeling and my mindset and just have a full reset, it has to start with my room and the environment that I'm in. So that is what we're going to do. Yeah, so let's go ahead and fix this room.
What the dog doing?
So it is a new week and my nail appointment got cancelled, which I'm so sad about, but I'm not going to let that get in the way of our plan. I actually messaged my ate that does her own nails, and she very kindly gave me all of the sets of nails that she has. So I'm feeling determined to make this work. Have I ever done this? No, but there's a first for everything. I already went through and chose the nail tips that I feel like fit my fingers best. I'm just missing one, so like I'm gonna have to do my thumb separately. And then I also ordered a silver cat eye gel polish because I feel like this is super wintry, and I've seen some TikToks of people putting the silver cat eye over like regular colored gel polish, and then it becomes like a colored cat eye polish. And as someone that has never done any of this before, that is what I'm going to be going for. So that is what we're going to be attempting to do today. My goal is for this to be a self-care kind of day, but I feel like I'm going to get very stressed about these nails because I am not an artistic person, but I always convince myself that I can be. So we're about to see how that works out today. I have my iPad here, so I'm going to watch my show and hopefully relax and everything will go smoothly. Also, I am in a Christmas sweater and Christmas PJs. It is December 22nd, the week of Christmas. So I figured it is the perfect time to bring out the Christmas PJs. But yeah, let's get started on these nails. Wish me luck. So I spent a really long time on these nails. I don't even want to tell you how many hours I spent on this. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with how the nails turned out. I mentioned that I wanted to relax while I was doing my nails, so I don't know why I chose to watch Breaking Bad of all shows when I was trying to unwind, but I did actually really enjoy doing my own nails. So who knows, maybe this year I'll learn how to actually do designs and do my own nails from home. I feel like on top of the fact that I would save so much money, I really did enjoy it, so I'm excited to maybe explore that a bit more. new day, obviously. It's been multiple days actually since I did my nails. It ended up taking me almost the whole night. So by the time I finished, I was ready to get into bed. But these are how the nails turned out. I'm not gonna lie, I am super proud of how they turned out. They're probably not that good, but I am personally really proud of it considering I did these myself and it's my first time ever trying like gel press-ons or whatever it's called. Anyway, since my nails took so long the other day, we weren't able to have our like self-care reset kind of night, so that's what I'm hoping to do today. I have a couple things that I want to do to end off 2025 and also hopefully start off 2026 better, because like I mentioned, I'm not really happy with how 2025 went for me, and so I'm hoping that these things kind of trick me into going into 2026 with a better mindset and attitude. But we're going to start off light. This is the planner that I had last year. It was from the dollar store and I really liked like the size of it and just like what I was able to fit. And then both my parents knew that I was looking for these planners. They both ended up coming home with one each. So I have 2 planners now, thank you to my mom and dad. And it actually worked out perfect because I wanted to get 2. I want one to use as like my regular planner for the upcoming year. And the second one, I was hoping to get back into the habit of daily journaling. If you guys are here when I first started uploading videos, I tried to build a habit of daily journaling and I used a planner for it because it had a small enough space for each day where I didn't feel too overwhelmed to start writing. And I did a really good job at keeping up with it the first year that I tried to start it. And then the next year I completely dropped it. But this is going to be my journal for 2026 and I already kind of started because the months start in December. So I already have the first 2 pages filled out. It doesn't look aesthetic at all, but that is the point. I don't want to feel pressured to make it look a certain way or like talk a certain way in these entries. I just want a physical reminder to take the time out of my day to process my day and then let it go and start the next day fresh. Because something that I realized that I did in 2025 was if I had a bad day or just a bad feeling, I would ignore it and I wouldn't address it. And because I didn't address it, that negative feeling would just bleed into multiple days, weeks even. And so this is my plan to hopefully combat that. And also I feel like as I'm getting older, all the days are just kind of blending into one. So I want to make it a habit to like actively recall the days that I'm having and the things that I'm doing and how I feel. It's really easy to feel like nothing is happening and you're not making progress and whatever. But if you write down like how you feel and where you're at daily, at some point you'll just look back on the book and realize you've come a long ways. And so that is what I'm hoping for this to be. Right now what we're actually going to do is decorate the 2 of them because I do not want to accidentally bring one or the other. So we're going to use some stickers, my favorite, and personalize these 2 books. I just finished decorating this one. This one is going to be my planner. I decorated this one on reels. Now we're going to do my journal. This one I feel like I can be a bit more like free with how I decorate it. For my planner, I kind of had to keep in mind that like I was going to be taking this to like possibly professional settings and I didn't want it to look too crazy. But for my journal, no one else is going to see this but me. So we are going to go all out for this one. So I've moved to my bed now and right now I have my iPad with me because we are going to be making our vision board. Last year I made a vision board and literally mid-year I made a whole new vision board because I was talking to my mom at that time about how I felt about the way things are progressing, and she told me that I had to have vision boards with like very specific wants and goals that are attainable within the actual year. And when I look at my 2025 vision board, they were so not that. They were just like romanticized final products of how I want my life to look like, if that makes sense. But I am not there yet and it doesn't make sense for that to be my vision for 2025 when I'm not even at like step 1 of getting there. So this year I'm going to try to do things a little different. Like I have a big picture idea of the life that I want, but realistically all of that is broken down into little categories. Like faith, health, career, all of those things require different steps to progress, and like it's not just one size fits all for every aspect. So this year I want to go into 2026 with very clear defined goals and steps to achieve it. That's honestly something I actively avoided back then when I would make like goals or vision boards for the new year, because I didn't want clear markers to let me know when I haven't achieved a goal, but I'm realizing now that those are needed to actually achieve a goal too. But anyway, let's start with the fun stuff. I'm gonna go through Pinterest right now and save a bunch of photos that represent the things that I want to work on in 2026. Then I'll import them to Canva and make my vision board. So I started off with scrolling through Pinterest and choosing all the aesthetic photos that represent the life and the goals that I want to have for 2026. I don't think there's anything wrong with romanticizing the new year and the vision boards at all, but honestly vision boards are kind of meaningless if there's never going to be action behind it, which sounds obvious, but it's something that I really learned this year. So vision boards for me are more like motivation and reminders of what my goals are, and there's nothing wrong with trying to make it pretty. Once I got all the photos that I wanted, I went ahead and imported them onto Canva, and I love using Canva for my vision boards because you can edit all the individual pictures to sort of have the same color scheme, which is really helpful. And yeah, this is my finished vision board for 2026. So I just took a shower and finished getting ready for bed, and this is what my final vision board looks like. Like I mentioned earlier, this is more of like an aesthetic version of all the goals and stuff that I want. So I have things here that represent the goals that I want to achieve this year in my faith, in my health, in my like relationships with people. But like I said earlier in this video, I wanted to take it a step further and be a lot more specific with my goals this year. So I have my laptop with me right now, and what I did was I downloaded a Notion vision board, and on my Notion vision board I'm going to have the vision board that I just made here on Canva now, and also go into a lot more detail on the goals and the habits that I want to build this year. This is the template that I downloaded. I really like how it has monthly check-ins and also a really specific goals section. So right now we're going to do a cute little face mask while I go ahead and customize this Notion template for 2026. So on this Notion vision board is where I really went into detail on all the things that I want to achieve in 2026, from like with the habits that I want to build to the goals that I want to reach. I'll walk you guys through my vision board in the next clip, but I didn't really go into detail on the goals that I have because I don't know, I felt a little vulnerable. But just to list a couple examples, in 2026 I really want to be intentional about the way that I show appreciation for the relationships that I have in my life, and I also want to make the effort to go out and make new friends. If you don't know, I might be going back to school this year, and if I do, I really want to prioritize landing an internship while I'm there. So that is one of the goals that I have for my career. For social media this year, I really want to start focusing on short form content. For some reason, short form content just feels so foreign to me, but I really want to work on that. I also want to spend more of my time this year doing Christ-centered activities, whether that's volunteering more or starting a Bible study or something. And on that note, I also have a goal of trying to memorize 2 Bible verses per month, which is not a lot at all. I'm really bad at memorizing anything, period, but I really want to start memorizing scripture. But yeah, those are some examples of a couple goals that I have set for myself this year. This is the first time that I really fleshed out the goals that I have for the new year, so I'm really excited to see how this turns out. Good morning. So I spent all of last night making my Notion vision board, and it is finally complete, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So this is my Notion page of my vision board for 2026. I ended up combining 2 different Notion templates because I really liked some aspects that each of them had, but I'll leave a link to both of them in the description box anyway. But this is my vision board page for 2026, and basically this is the more action-oriented side to the pretty vision board that we made. At the top here is the life areas section. So for categories, I have wellness, relationships, career, faith, and finances. And then for each category, I have a general statement of what it is that I want to achieve in that area for this year. So for example, in my wellness section, I generally just want to start being more active and taking care of my physical health because I am getting old. I also want to try to eat healthier and get less fast food. And then right under it are the specific things that I want to achieve this year that contribute to the overall goal of the category. So in the wellness section, I want to have healthier eating habits. I also want to start working out at home because one of the biggest excuses that I have is that I don't want to pay for a gym membership, but I can definitely just work out at home. I literally have a treadmill in my basement and I have space to follow along to YouTube workouts, and I'm just using my lack of a gym membership as an excuse. I also really need to fix my sleep schedule. This is not even funny. And I also want to lower my screen time and go out more. So those are the specific things that I want to achieve this year. And assuming I work towards those little things, I'm able to achieve my overall goal for like wellness or whatever section of my life I'm focusing on. So that's what this section is here. And then on the left side, I pulled a bunch of scripture from the Bible that aligns with each section of my life area that I mentioned. So for wellness, for example, I have 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 19 to 20 where it talks about how our bodies are a temple for the Holy Spirit, and basically it's a way of making sure that all my goals are tied in with Christ and like it's all honoring him. And also it kind of motivates me in a way that keeps me accountable, because if I'm not taking care of my body, then I'm not taking care of the temple of the Holy Spirit. Does that make sense? So I chose a bunch of scriptures here to align with and motivate me on all the goals that I have. And then moving on, I have a little habit section of the things that I wanted to start doing daily, but like it's just kind of sitting there. I don't really know how I'm going to go about that. But here at the very bottom, I have all the specific goals that I mentioned were for each category in like more detail. So for wellness, I mentioned that I wanted to eat healthier, I wanted to work out and exercise, and I wanted to fix my sleep schedule. So here I'm able to go into a bit more detail on each goal, and it also helps me visualize everything that I want to work on this year, because I feel like at the top it's a little like cluttered and can be overwhelming because it's a bunch of words. But here I'm able to get a better glimpse of the specific goals that I set. So I really love this part of my vision board, but my favorite is the check-ins. The monthly check-ins came with the template, and then I just duplicated it and also added quarterly check-ins because like I mentioned, I want these goals to be actionable. I want to keep track of like my progress, what I'm falling behind in, what I'm doing good in, and what I can improve, so that I'm making sure that I'm actually achieving these goals. And also this lets me be realistic and maybe adjust goals that I have right now that turns out aren't really doable by the end of the year. So when you click the monthly check-ins, I have my vision board on every single month, and it asks about how you're feeling, what goals have you started, what have you not started, what's holding you back, and how can you overcome these obstacles, and also any adjustments. All of this again is just to hopefully help me stay mindful and keep track of the goals that I have so that they don't just start to fall off. For the quarterly check-ins, I'm going to see where I'm standing by the end of the first quarter. So right now I have Q1 of the year filled in, and based on the way I feel right now and the goals that I currently have, these are the things that I am hoping to have achieved by the end of the first quarter of the year. I feel like this also makes my New Year's goals feel a little more achievable, because right now my sleep schedule is absolutely awful and my goal at the end of the year is to have it completely fixed. Realistically, I'm not going to magically start waking up at 6 a.m. without going through something in between. So for example, here by the end of March, I'm hoping to be waking up at least 10 a.m., which is not the earliest, but it's an improvement from the time that I'm waking up now. I feel like this also helps me not get discouraged that I haven't achieved like my big overall goal like midway through the year. Through this, I'm hoping I can at least see like small improvements and adjustments that would keep me motivated to continue working towards my goal throughout the year. And lastly, there was this little section of reflections for 2025, and I just filled it in last night. I feel like it was a good chance to look back at the year and then like keep it in its little section here. And then hopefully by the end of 2026, I can look at that and be like, wow, like that was such a different time. Hopefully it's different by then. But yeah, this is my vision board for 2026. I honestly hate the fact that I'm sharing all the goals that I have for this year because, I don't know, I feel like it's so vulnerable. You guys are gonna see this and know whether or not I achieve the things that I want to achieve this year. But hopefully that's going to motivate me as well. I don't know, we'll see what happens. But this is my vision for 2026. Despite how I like currently feel, I feel like being able to do this and sort of look ahead and make a plan more or less of how I want to tackle the next year made me feel a bit less hopeless, if that makes sense. I did what I can and I gave myself goals to hopefully move forward in some way. So yeah, that is my vision board for 2026. I feel like this video is getting so rambly, but I hope you don't mind. But if you're feeling a little lost or hopeless going into 2026, maybe doing a little activity like this or a vision board can help ground you back and also help maybe with your outlook on how the next year is going to go, because really it's never too late for a fresh start, and what better time to have one than now. So I just got ready real quick to head out because I got a notification that the things that I sent to Staples to be printed are ready to be picked up. I printed a new calendar to replace the 2025 one that I have on my wall. I also went through my camera roll and chose a bunch of pictures from the past year to print out and put into a scrapbook. So I'm going to go ahead and pick those up, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So I'm back from Staples. This is the calendar that I chose. Super cute, but honestly nothing new. I feel like this is so similar to all the other calendars that I've chosen. I feel like I've become predictable at this point. I also developed a bunch of pictures from the last year, and this time when I was choosing the photos that I wanted to put in my scrapbook, I made collages of them so that they were smaller, because that was a mistake I made every year. I always printed it like full size and the pictures would turn out so big and like I could only fit one or two on the pages. So I'm actually really excited about this now. To be completely honest, I wasn't going to do this at all this year because I just was not in the mood to look back at the year that I had. So I feel like this is a great opportunity to take one last look at 2025 and acknowledge all the good things and remind myself that like there were still good memories made, and then move on. So that's what we're going to do. Scrapbooking has always just been something that I love and enjoy doing. So I feel like this is the perfect way to end this video and take one last look at 2025 and leave it all behind. I'm so grateful that I ended up doing this scrapbooking session because it honestly put into perspective that I actually had a pretty good year on paper. I turned 23 this year and I celebrated it with my close friends and family, and it was honestly one of the most fun birthdays I've had in a while. My friends and I also went on a road trip this summer and that was super fun, and we made a bunch of memories. I also graduated college this year, which for some reason I just completely skip over in my mind whenever I think about the things that happened this year. For the longest time I didn't want to celebrate it until I landed a position afterwards, and then I realized I also landed an internship this year, and that was honestly kind of another thing that I just swept under the rug once it happened, even though I had been praying for it for so long. I also officially became a worship leader at my church in the beginning of this year, which obviously you guys don't know, but that was a pretty big deal that I totally forgot even happened this year. And then later in the year, my youth group hosted our very first worship night, which was also super exciting. Doing this made me realize that I honestly let a good year pass me by because I was so caught up in my emotions and focusing on the things that I didn't have to notice and appreciate the things that I had right in front of me. All of this kind of reminds me of a sermon that I heard at the last worship night that I attended for 2025, and it was around the time that Spotify Wrapped came out, and the pastor asked the question, if there was a Wrapped soundtrack of the voices that you listened to in your mind this year, what would it be? We talked about how noisy the world can get, and honestly sometimes even your own thoughts, but that the voice that we choose to listen to and magnify is in our control. And I feel like looking back at 2025, I magnified the wrong things. I focused on the things that was missing, the things that I felt like I haven't achieved, where I was lacking, and I let that get bigger in my mind than all the blessings that I had this year. So I'm going to make the choice to look back at 2025 and focus on the ways that God moved in my life rather than the things that I felt like were missing. And going into 2026, I'm going to make the choice to magnify God rather than my own thoughts and feelings.